Hey everyone, it's Kaizen from Golden Circle Games, and with Dominaria United, it's only around the corner. Some of the commander decks have been put online, so we know exactly what's going to be in them. So I thought, why not do a video on Painbow Payoff cards, so Painbow multicoloured Payoff cards that can slip right into that commander deck. So we're going to start off looking at the commander from the Painbow Precon deck that's coming out for Dominaria United. His name's Jared Carthalion, and he's a 5-colour commander, legendary planeswalker. Comes in with 5 loyalty. His +1 ability says create a 3/3 Carvu creature token with trample that's all colours. -3, choose up to 2 target creatures for each of them. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of colours it is. Or -6, return target multicoloured card from your graveyard to your hand. If that card was all colours, draw a card and create 2 treasure tokens. And most importantly, Jared Carthalion can be your commander. So this is obviously a commander that's geared towards looking for all colours on the cards. So the more colours you have in the casting cost of the card, the better. And we really want to look at having cards that take full advantage of having as many colours in the deck as possible. So the first card I'm going to look at is Joda Archmage Eternal. It's 1 blue, red and a white for a legendary creature, human wizard, 4/3 with flying, and says you may pay Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red and green, rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. So this is going to give you a discount on some of the more expensive spells in your deck, because it's only going to be 5 colours to cast, and you should hopefully have 5 colours available to cast any of those spells. So a really useful card for the more expensive cards that you have in your deck, and really it does take advantage of having all those 5 colours that you have available to you. Next is the Chromanticore. So this is a 5-colour creature, or enchantment creature. A Manticore, 4/4. It has Bestow on it, so for 2 and Wooburg, you can cast this card for its Bestow costs. It's an aura spell with enchant creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. So if you cast it for just Wooburg, so just the 5 mana, it comes in as a 4/4 creature with flying, first strike, vigilance, trample and lifelink. So 1 keyword for each colour, essentially. If you bestow it, you can enchant a creature, and that creature gets +4/+4 and has all those keywords as well. So a really versatile card. So if you have a pretty powerful creature with a powerful attack trigger or combat damage trigger, this will be really good to bestow on that creature. But it's also a good creature in its own right, especially if you have cards that take advantage of having keywords as well, which some of the cards do already in the Precon deck. Next is Okagachi Vengeful Kami. It's 1 and Wooburg. It's a legendary creature, Dragon Spirit. It's a 6/6, has flying and trample, and says whenever Okagachi Vengeful Kami deals combat damage to a player, if that player attacked you during their last turn, exile target non-land permanent that player controls. So it's just a bit of protection from creature decks that like to swing out. If this is out on the board, they might think twice about coming at you, because if you attack them the next turn, you're going to be exiling one of their non-land permanents. So a really good protection there, plus it being all colours with flying and trample. Using the -3 ability on your commander is going to get 5 +1/+1 counters, and with flying and trample, that's a lot of damage that you can do to a player. And we've got a commander classic here with Kenrith the Returned King. He's 4 generic and 1 white for a legendary creature, human noble. Is a 5/5, but has an activated ability of each colour. So for 1 red, all creatures gain trample and haste until end of turn. For 1 and a green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. For 2 and a white, target player gains 5 life. For 3 and a blue, target player draws a card. And for 4 and a black, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control. So really versatile creature to have in the deck can take advantage of all the colours that you have at your disposal, and it's just so versatile and it can be used in so many different situations. And we've got a Maelstrom Archangel. So this is a Wooburg creature, Angel 5/5 with flying, and it says whenever Maelstrom Archangel deals combat damage to a player, you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. So it already has evasion with the flying. If you can give it trample, even better. With the +1/+1 counters from your commander, people are less likely to want to block the creature, and let's face it, who doesn't like playing cards for free out of their hand? And now we've got General Ferrus Rockerick for 1 red and white. A legendary creature, human soldier, is a 3/1, has hexproof from monocoloured. It says whenever you cast a multicoloured spell, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token. So all of our spells are hopefully going to be multicoloured in this deck, and you're going to be getting a 4/4 golem for each multicoloured spell that you cast. So just really, really good value from all the spells that you cast in the deck, and a really good addition. And we've got a Scion of Draco. It's 12 generic mana to cast, but it does have Domain, and says this spell costs 2 less to cast for each basic land type among the lands you control. So hopefully we will have one of each, so 5 basic land types. So that means it will have a discount of 10 mana, so it could potentially only cost you 2 mana for the Scion of Draco. It's a 4/4, it has flying, and it says each creature you control has vigilance if it's white, hexproof if it's blue, lifelink if it's black, first strike if it's red, and trample if it's green. So if we have creatures of all colours, they're going to get every single one of those keywords, and can really boost the power of all your creature cards in the deck. Plus it's just going to be a lot harder to remove those creatures as well. So a really good addition to the deck. And again, if it only costs you 2 mana to cast, the amount of value you're getting from this card is going to be amazing. Last of the creatures here, we've got Niv Mizzet Reborn. Is a Wooburg creature, legendary creature, dragon avatar. It's a 6/6, has flying, and says whenever Niv Mizzet Reborn enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each colour pair, choose a card that's exactly those colours from among them. Put the chosen cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So not only are we going to get a 6/6 flyer for 5 mana, we're also going to be drawing or seeing a lot of cards from the top of our library and potentially drawing a lot of those into our hand. And if we can flicker Niv Mizzet, we're going to be doing that again and again, and really filtering through our deck and grabbing the exact cards that we want out of it. So a really, really good value card here. So we've got some artifacts now that take advantage of having many colours. So we've got the Prismatic Geoscope for 5 mana. The Prismatic Geoscope enters the battlefield tapped, but it has Domain, and you can tap it, add X mana in any combination of colours to your mana pool, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. So obviously we're going to aim to have all 5 basic land types in our mana pool. So this artifact is going to tap for 5 mana of any colours that we want. So really versatile artifact, and really takes advantage of the multicolour aspect of the deck. And we've got Obelisk of Alara for 6 generic mana, and it's an artifact that's sort of similar to Kenrith, where it has an activated ability for each colour that you have. So for 1 and a white, you can tap it and you gain 5 life. For 1 and a blue, you draw a card and discard a card. For 1 and a black, you tap and target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. For 1 and a red, you can tap and Obelisk of Alara deals 3 damage to target player. Or for 1 and a green, you can tap and target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. So again, it's just a really versatile card that you can use in a variety of different situations, and takes advantage of having all those different colours of mana, and has a mode really for any situation. And the next two are quite similar, but we've got a Chromatic Lantern for 3 generic mana, and it says lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any colour. So basically filters your mana so you can use it for any colour, and it actually taps itself for 1 mana of any colour. So it just really helps smooth out any casting costs of the card you have, because all your lands tap for any colour. So it just makes it a lot easier really to play the cards that you have. And in a similar vein, we've got a Chromatic Orrery for 7 generic mana, and says you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour, and it says tap and add 5 colourless. But obviously, because you can spend mana as though it were mana of any colour, those colourless mana can actually be any colour. So, for example, if you had a Soul Ring, that now actually taps for 2 mana of any colour. And it also has an ability on it, so you can pay 5, tap it, draw a card for each colour among permanents you control. So again, if we've got all 5 colours out, we can pay 5 into this and draw 5 cards. So again, really taking advantage of having those 5 colours in the deck. And we've got a few enchantments now. So starting off with Genju of the Realm, so Wooburg legendary enchant land. For 2 generic mana, enchanted land becomes a legendary 8/12 spirit creature with trample until end of turn. It's still a land, and when enchanted land is put into a graveyard, you may return Genju of the Realm from your graveyard to your hand. So just a really good way of utilising the lands you have into creatures and doing a lot of damage to a player, or you could even keep it on defence and pay 2 and block one of their bigger creatures as well if you need to. So just a versatile card that could potentially take advantage of all those keywords that you have with the other cards that we've mentioned. And we've got a Maelstrom Nexus for Wooburg. It's an enchantment and says the first spell you cast each turn has Cascade. And Cascade says when you cast your first spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exile cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So again, we're not losing those cards, they're just going to go on the bottom of the deck. So it's just a really good way to get a 2-for-1 really. So you're going to be casting your first spell, try and make it a high casting cost. That means anything below that casting cost that you hit next can be cast for free, and just lets you sift through your deck, and you can really hit some of the better cards for free, and it's just going to save you so much mana. Next we've got Collective Restraint for 3 generic and 1 blue. It says creatures can't attack you unless their controller plays X for each creature attacking you, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. So this is essentially like a Propaganda or a Windborne Muse, something like that. But the X cost is going to be higher because we should hopefully have all 5 colours of lands. So a creature heavy deck will have to pay 5 mana for each creature attacking you, which is a really heavy cost. So it just protects us really from any hasty creature decks or creature heavy decks that will be attacking each turn. They'll be looking elsewhere, and it just gives us time to build our board and take advantage of all the other cards that we have. And we've got Pyro Convergence for 4 generic and 1 red. And it says whenever you cast a multicoloured spell, Pyro Convergence deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So every time we're casting one of our spells, again, most of them are going to be multicoloured. Doing 2 damage to a target creature is pretty good, so we can get rid of a problem creature just by casting spells. But we also deal damage straight direct to the player as well. And over the time of a commander game, that's going to add up to a lot of damage to that player. And last of the enchantments, we've got Widespread Thieving for 2 generic and 1 red. It has Hideaway 5, so when this enchantment enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library, exile one of them face down, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it says whenever you cast a multicolour spell, create a treasure token, so that's great. Again, most of our cards are going to be multicoloured, so getting treasures from them is really good. And it says you may pay Wooburg. If you do, you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost. So obviously we can either use those treasures we're getting, or we should have Wooburg anyway, either in our land base or from the artifacts that we've got. So again, if we can find one of those expensive cards, we can then try and reduce its mana cost by just paying this 5. And this enchantment's going to stay on there, so every time we cast a multicolour spell, we're going to get those treasures. So a really good value engine there. So to end, we've got a couple of sorcery cards. First of all, we've got Conflux for 3 generic and Wooburg. It's a sorcery card and says search your library for a white card, a blue card, a black card, a red card and a green card. Reveal those cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. It's got quite a high casting cost, but we are going to be tutoring essentially for 5 cards. So for that casting cost, you can find all your win cons that are in the deck in one go. And if we have the Cascade enchantment out, then we can cascade into potentially quite a high casting cost card that we're going to play for free. So just a really versatile card in the deck, and taking full advantage of having all those colours. And last but not least, we've got All Sun's Dawn for 4 generic and 1 green. It says for each colour, return up to 1 target card of that colour from your graveyard to your hand, exile All Sun's Dawn. So a bit recursion, allowing us to get the more powerful spells back from our graveyard. It just means we can just replay them again. So, and allowing us to pick one of each colour. Again, we should hopefully hit 5 cards from this. So making sure we take full advantage of having those multicoloured cards in the deck. And that's all for now for this video, so thank you for listening. I hope this has given you a few ideas of cards that you could potentially put into the new Precon deck if you go out and grab it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We also like to hear your comments, so if there's cards I potentially missed out or any that you would put in yourself, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. I'll put the deck list for the Precon in the description below if you want to see it. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you, like I said. And until next time, I've been Kaizen, and thank you.